and welcome back to Scale Your Sales podcast. This is the second part of Scale Your Sales Takeover with my good friend Kim. In this episode, we talk about scale and Scale Your Sales framework and what's unique and different about what I offer my customers. And a question she asked me is, why do customers decide to work with me? So we talked about customer centricity, and we talked about what I believe buyer experience is the forerunner before customer experience and how that all has an impact on sales. And then the relationship of scale, the data informed analyst survey that creates sales efficiency and sales effectiveness, and that being the foundation to Scale Your Sales framework, which allows us to really build the competitive advantage in the strategies as a customer-centric organization. So you're going to hear more about that from me being interviewed by Kim in the Scale Your Sales second part of the takeover.
Hello, my name is Kim Hamer. This is Scale Your Sales podcast, and this is a podcast takeover. So without further ado, let me welcome to the Scale Your Sales podcast my special guest and podcast host, Janice B. Gordon.
If you understand them so well, it's a lot easier for you to grow those revenues, accelerate the customer. And from my kind of key account management days, I always say we're not going to do this for everyone, but we really need to intimately understand who are our key clients, who are the top 20% that give us 80% of the rate. If you cannot be bothered to really invest and understand their whole operation, not just the client that you have, but the whole operation, their industry, they're giving you all of this revenue, and you're not doing that in-depth research. So that's the focus. The thing is, once you nail those top 20, there's going to be another kind of, if you draw a kind of circle outside of that, people that are more attracted to you because they want what that top 20 are having from you. They want that relationship. So it's up to them to kind of bring up their whether it's their quantities or their revenues or whatever. So you only really need to focus on a niche group of really important people, identify who they are, which is what we do in the Scale Your Sales Scale Your Sales framework, the productivity side of really understanding who those key groups of people are. And then, once you've understood those people, you need to make sure you keep them. Retention, and acceleration. You need to keep them, but you need to, if you understand them so well, it's a lot easier for you to grow those revenues, accelerate the customer relationships, really move the relationships. And this is what we talk about in terms of attraction, move those relationships into partnerships. If your customers are growing and you're partnering them, you're developing more for them, then why would they go anywhere else? You become part of their business plan. You're partnering them. You're anticipating their needs. You're growing with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you want. You want to grow with your key customers.
Yeah, and I love that, that analogy because, it's kind of like we get excited about the sale and we're going to go, oh, yay, celebration. But it's not a one and done. If you want to retain customers, you need to be thinking about where they're going and how they're growing and what challenges might be up there. So you have this, as you say, this relationship that is more partner oriented rather than transactional. So you can be part of finding solutions together. This whole world of collaboration and co-creation and all of that sort of thing. And I think not just technology, but I think the way that we're emerging as a society is much more geared towards co-creation. This one and done, I do it on my own, it is kind of falling a bit by the wayside, and those that are holding on to it are kind of struggling. So my question to that is, and you're probably going to say yes, so is sales a team game? And I'd like to understand a little bit more about how it's a team game and the different roles and that sort of thing if you think it is a team game. And if you don't think it is, then tell me why.
I think it depends on, sales. The sales industry is from, very much transactional, selling widgets and very competitive and price orientated, to highly complex, high value sales. So it depends on where you are on that line as to whether this is relevant. And I only work in the B2B space.
Yeah.
And interesting thing about that, the B2B space follows B2C. So, like they say, success leaves clues. And it's really understanding that B2B, business to business, is not really business to business. What it is individual to individual within those business contexts. And so once you understand that, you see the relationship of B2C. So it's a team sport, and because I work more on the kind of complex side than the transactional side. Absolutely, it is a team sport, and I tell you why. It's not just in the way that the team sport, in that your sales operation may have, you might have technical sales. You might have customer success. Like, I don't mean team sport in that way. What I mean is that my view of the way that we sell is to be customer centric, to be really focused on the customer. So it's a team sport in that it's the operation of the whole business. There is the phrase, everyone works in sales. Everyone in your business has an impact on that customer remaining with you. So one of my clients that I worked with, they doubled their revenue in less than 9 months. And one of the problems was that the salespeople, whether in Chile, China, Russia, would sell a contract. It would then go internally to their finance department. The finance department would knock it back, saying it doesn't meet our terms, right? So this is very internally focused. Now, it's important that the finance department, the legal department, all these are protecting their interests, but they've never been out the country. They have no idea of what it's like to do business in Russia. The salesperson sitting in Russia understands that environment, or Chile, or China, and how that's different to America. We have our set of terms. You meet our requirements. So now you're spending 6 months, that salesperson's losing the will to buy all of the blocks internally in order to get that through. And often it's so difficult for the customer to do business with these organizations that they prefer to do it with the nimbler, even the smaller organizations. It's so difficult getting these contracts through. So if there's a block there, we need to remove the block. And it's like, how can we make the organization understand what it's like to sell? And that's often a bit of a disconnect within organizations. We have all of these different silos, and we know about the silos often between marketing and sales, but that's not the only silos. There's silos in the technical teams, or the legal teams, or and so it's about, in order to be customer centric, you will often have to reorientate your organization in order to make sure that you remove those blocks. You've got to make it really easy for the customer to work with you. And there's lots of research out there that customers, B2B customers, are finding it more difficult. 77% are saying it's more difficult to buy, to do business with these organizations. So that's what I mean about the sales stack and the extra complexity. We're losing the focus of what we're trying to do. What is the outcome? What is the outcome for the customer? What is the impact for the customer? The other thing that I say to a lot of my leaders is, if the decision that you in the C-suite are making around the table If you do not know the impact that has on your customer and on their end user, why the hell are you making that decision? If you haven't measured that, why are you making the decision? And it's a bit of a no-brainer, really, when you're a customer-centric organization. You're always got that customer at the seat at the table. That makes a massive difference. When I say it's a team sport, it's an organizational sport, and it's about that change in mindset to really understand the whole point of your existence and how you have to reorientate your organization to be so focused on the customer that the sales just comes in.
Fantastic. So why then does it not happen more? Why are there not more customer-centric organizations? Why, I hear this kind of thing happen all the time, decisions made at the C-suite level or at the board table with very little discussion about, well, how will that impact our customer? There might be how will it impact our sales, but not a lot of discussion about, well, what does that mean for our customer and their experience of us as an organization? Why isn't it done more often? What do you think the big barriers are to that?
I think the organizations that are moving in that direction, and it is a transformational change. It's not easy. They're creating competitive advantage at every level of their business. And as painful as it can be, I go for the quick wins first of all, but as painful as it can be, they're seeing the real benefits of investing in the 10-year in order to move and transform the organization. Why is it not happening? It's because often organizations don't know how. When I have the conversation, they say, they're kind of like acknowledgement. Yeah, we know. Yeah, it's right. This. Yeah, yeah. But there isn't, unless you have the CEO, the C-suite at the table that really understands, are willing to go forward with this. I will speak to sales VPs and they're on board. However, they're still measured on the kind of old sales metrics. So you're trying to move the behaviors to be customer centric, but if the metrics are measuring the nuts and bolts of, like the conversion rates and, what's the point in converting more low-end clients? What is the point of that? But if that's your measure, then you're actually creating behaviors that you don't want. So you've got to get the C-suite educated on what kind of measures they need to in order to be customer centric. It takes a while just to do that in the C-suite, let alone how that actually filters down. So, what I say is let's start with one division. Let's get a quick win in that division. It's often sales because that's the core of all of it, which is what happened in this organization. The example I gave you, their quick win doubling their revenue in less than 9 months. Suddenly the C-suite was taking that thing. How on earth did this happen? Right, okay, now we are telling the finance and legal department. The legal department want those wins as well. The way that their measures have to change. And so now it's starting to infect the rest of the organization that really start to understand. Now the legal and finance and marketing people are interested to hear what sales have to say, and even putting them in front of some of the customers, bringing the customers in to talk about what their experience was like to buy, and so that they can hear from the customer what they need to change. But can you imagine saying, I want you to sit in front of one of our customers to, legal, finance, whatever, and they're saying, no way, I've got other things on my plate.
It's not my job.
A job, exactly. So it really has to be led by the C-suite. The CEO really needs to understand that they need to start measuring different behaviors if they want a different outcome. So there is a lot of thought leadership that actually goes on, and understanding how to implement this, where we're going to start with it. That's why it hasn't been done. Sales, the sales industry has been sticking with the 7 steps sales process for the last 50 years. We didn't even have the internet around at that time, right? It's madness to me that we're still doing something that we did 50 years ago. That is the core, and we're having all of these little fixes, these apps and technology that are fixing the things that are not working to create this extra, complication and making it more difficult for our buyers to buy. We need to strip that all out and really understand why are we here, what is our purpose, what's the outcome for our customers, and work back from there. How are we going to achieve that? This is going to be your ultimate future-proofing your business, and also your customers are going to your competitive advantage for your customers as well.
Wow. So there are a few reasons why people aren't doing it. So I think the other thing that I sort of want to dig into a bit off the back of that is something we talked about. I actually grilled you on this. Like, what is it you actually do? Like, what do you do when you go into organizations and, that sort of thing. So I'd love for you to share a little bit more with your audience. This is your tribe where we're talking to today about, how do you talk a lot about, diagnosis. It's actually about diagnosing the correct cause, the root cause. And as a mechanic, you would love that language. We learned the talent dynamics. But, how do you go into these complex organizations and sort of diagnose the challenge in such a way that it shifts the C-suite to give it a try? Talk a little bit about, what you do. What's the Janice B. Gordon approach? If that's not giving away secrets.
No, not at all. Happy to talk about it. So the Scale Your Sales framework, there's a way to access the framework. So I'll talk about Scale and I'll talk about Scale Your Sales framework. So Scale is a diagnostic, predictive and validated data source. And I call it Scale. I didn't design it. I wish I did, because it's incredible. It's been going for the last 25 years. So I'm a partner of part of that business. And what happens, the reason why that this is a great starting point to work with me is because I can talk about Scale Your Sales framework, your people, your processes, closing the gap, because we ultimately want to get to the customer-centric organization, the customer strategies that you use in order to create competitive advantages for your customers. However, still what's core to all this, foundational, is your sales operation. And if your sales operation is working inefficiently, it's not effective, and you don't know where the inefficiencies are, then it doesn't really matter what you do, what you put on top of those foundations, you're still going to be leaking out opportunities. So the foundational element is called Scale. What it is, it's the sales revenue acceleration based on data-informed analysis. So salespeople, they do a questionnaire, even from hiring as well, and sales leadership. The questions are predictive questions as to what is best practice, what does success look like across 200 industries. There are 2.3+ million completed this questionnaire. We've gone back and validated it so that we know what is predictive. So we know what competencies leads to success. We also are able, based on the data that we get from the individual organization, knowing what industry they're in, what's the value size of their contract, so forth, all of that information, we can demonstrate what is the gap, that the money they're leaving on the table. I call that the sales opportunity gap. So we get the salespeople, we do the questionnaire, we identify this opportunity gap. from an individual point of view, we can say, okay, if we coach this person on these things, where then we can make them into our top performers, right? These are the individual gaps for that person. For another person, they're going to be other individual gaps that are completely fundamental for them being top performers. You've got to fill those gaps, because laying on top a sales strategy, if they're not able to meet those objectives, right? Then the sales leaders, the managers, they have coaching points. That sales managers are very bad at coaching because they don't know what to coach. But if you have a report on each of your individuals and you now know how to coach them to be top performers, then away you go. So if you want your operation to work efficiently, then when we're talking about our customers, we want to make sure that we're really focused on our key customers, identifying who they are. We want to analyze, what we're leaving on the table in that sales opportunity gap in terms of, where our retention might be in and how we can further accelerate our revenue growth and what strategies we need. That's when we move into scale your sales framework to really kind of nail how we're going to develop the relationships with these key identified people. What's the value of the relationships? And if they're, let's say an average of 3 and they need to be 4, what are the strategies to move them up a notch? What do we need to do on an individual? Remember I said business to business, individual to business, to individual. What do we need to do on an individual basis in order to move them up? And making sure that the C-suite, the exec team is really on board to this and measuring not only the performance of the team, but the performance of the strategies that you're putting in place. I'm really kind of hot on, we've got the outcomes that we want, but we've got to measure how far along we are. We need to know how much of that gap a year later we have closed down. And that's how, I'm able to demonstrate that, we've doubled the revenue because we've closed these gaps. We've doubled the revenue because we're really focusing on who are our valued customers. And so that's kind of the scale side, the data analysis, and then the scale your sales framework side of things, really, and how they kind of the two fit together.
Yeah, and I can, we were talking before about, it's an organizational game, it's an organizational sport. So while it might start in this particular place with particular individuals, I sort of think even if they're not receiving the direct coaching or insight or that sort of thing, I think it builds a muscle and a culture in the organization that is all about how do we diagnose, how do we develop what the insight is about what we need to shift, how do we take action, and how do we measure that action and learn what to do next. There's a great saying, you manage what you measure. If you don't measure it, it's not going to happen. And you made that comment really early on in the discussion about, we've got traditional sales metrics with an organization that's trying to create more emergent sales practices or initiatives or all of that sort of thing. And so there's a pull between the two. There's a tension that just doesn't work. Some tension is good, but speaking as a marketer in one of those sales silos, I know some of the tension between marketing and sales, I think is just the foundation of what can make an organization great. But it's about building that culture of measurement and exploration and diagnosis and communication. I think that is so important. So we've talked a lot about sort of going into businesses, and I love, that when you talk to me about the scale methodology and how you use it, it's mind blown in the pub. I went, why have I never heard this before? So it's brilliant. So if one of the killer questions I like to ask my coachees, a lot of entrepreneurs or even people in organizations who are wanting promotions or wanting to have more influence and have their ideas put forward, I always say, so why do people decide to buy from you. We often focus a lot on the testimonials after we've delivered, but that's after people have experienced us. And when you talk about the buyer experience and the customer experience, so, what is it that makes buyers buy from you when they haven't had that experience of you before? What is it about Janice B. Gordon that makes them go, I've got to work with you?
I like to just be full and frank.
Yeah.
And where I'm at. And frankly, this is a black woman talking to you. And if anyone's got a problem with that, that's okay. It's their problem, not mine. And, I think I mentioned that, like Me Too and Black Lives Matter and having more confidence. And really, the world has begun, it's not there yet, to come round to where it can work in my favor. Not very often, but I'll take it, right?
Yes, yeah.
So generally all people feel comfortable with me.
Okay.
Not that I'm letting them off the hook by any means, but they can ask me the hard questions and know that I'm not going to let them off the hook. Because I'm very good at asking questions. I train people on, active listening and, the 3 questions. You've only got 3 questions. I have a whole kind of training on that. So I think that people know that they need to do something a little bit different, something a little bit edgy, but they also want to be comfortable with the decisions they make, whether that's booking me to be on stage or doing a workshop or consultancy. So I think there is that as well. And I have, I'm full and frank, it's stating the obvious, but it's true. And then it's the other aspect, my perspective over the years with working in customer experience and, sales, that I don't know that there's many people that have my same perspective. There's a lot of people that talk about customer experience, and the bedrock to that is employee experience. And I'm not saying that's not true in terms of how you implement it. Yes, it is true. But when I'm talking about it from a sales and it being leading edge, I'm talking about the buyer's experience. Now, if we think about it, what comes first in our relationship building? It is from the salesperson or sales operation to the buyer, the decision maker. If you do not or cannot convey an experience, making it easy and simple, remember they think it's a difficult process. If you cannot convey an experience that they like and enjoy, that's make it easy for them, why are we even talking about customer experience? They're not going to become your customer, or if they are your customer, they're looking for a way out. So our focus on customer experience is too late in the customer's journey. My focus is on the buying experience, and that is very much embedded within sales and marketing within the sales operation. I always put marketing in with sales.
All right.
Like nowadays, there isn't much kind of separating them. They're all the same, kind of linear view.
Yes.
So the buyer's experience is critically important. And what happens is you set up their expectations of what it's going to be like as a customer. And then it just continues. But in order to have that, it still comes back to you having an operation, a business that is customer centric and consistently be able to deliver this. But I focus on the buyer's experience because that leads into the customer experience, and then, how that kind of impacts on your sales revenue. So I have a more unusual perspective on this and have all of the evidence. I do loads of research to absolutely back this up, and it's one of the foundational messages of Scale Your Sales framework. Why we focus on the retention of the customer, but also focus on, how we're selling. When you're retaining customers, you have to remember you're still selling to them.
Yes.
The contract renewals and, or whether it's, a SaaS contract, you're constantly selling to them. The operation is still about sales. They're not a customer. It's not one and done, as you mentioned before. So you're constantly selling to them. So it's, who are the decision makers? Who are the buyers? Who are the people that you're having, more regular contact with? What experience they're having of how easy it is for them to access that information and help them solve that problem. This is all down to the experience that you deliver. That's my perspective. That's what I talk about. I talk about being in the head of your customers and your key customers and really understanding what their needs and the experience they want and making it easy for them. I talk more about that than I do talk about sales, because I think we've got an idea of what I think about the sales process.
I think we have.
I talk about the buying process. That's what we need to understand. What is the buying process that we're delivering to give the experience that the buyers and decision makers want?
Yeah, and when we talked about this in the pub, I'm sorry everybody, I just loved this pub conversation. We had such a fun time, and I learned so much about Janet. I muscled my way onto her podcast to talk to her about it. So what I loved is that whole thing. So the difference between a buyer and a customer is just their location on the journey. The process, as you say, is still about how do I experience you as an organisation? Do I like doing business with you? Do I get what I need? And that happens, as you say, as a test case before they become a customer and on the books. But actually, once an organisation is a customer, actually, you're still selling to individuals. Individuals change, needs change. We talked earlier about that partnership experience. So, tapping into that, it's not about the selling process. It's actually talking about the buyer. There's this great saying, everyone wants to buy, but no one wants to be sold to. So perhaps there's a movement, shall we say, we also always talk about consumers and customers and all of that sort of thing. Maybe we should be thinking about buyers who, why would anybody buy from me? And ask ourselves the question, as a business or as an individual, why would anybody buy my idea, my products, my services, the business that sits behind me? Why would anybody buy that I am promotable, that I can deliver big targets, that I can shift things and make a difference? Buying is everywhere. We just don't call it that in every area of life, do we?
Yeah. So essentially, I have the system and understand the process that buyers are looking for that forms, Scale Your Sales framework, and it's from an organizational point of view.
And if you were going to sum up your vision for 2023 in a couple of words, what would you say your ambition or your vision is for this year?
You have just got to love your life, enjoy your life. And if you don't, then you need to change things, because we don't know how long we're here. And we've got, all of us, I believe, have a purpose, and we haven't got time to waste. And you just need to get on it. No excuses, just get on it, really. So I'm, kind of loving my life and love the people that I work with, and I really want to make a difference.
Fabulous. And I noted down 2 words from all of that. I love focused and fired up. It just sums up you. And we might add fabulous to the end of that. Three F words to represent 2023. Janice, we have been sitting in our respective different chairs for quite a while now. So, very reticent, but I'm going to have to give it back to you, I think. But I have loved being, not in the hot seat. It's, it's lovely. And I think it's been such a brilliant opportunity for me to even know even more about you and what you do and the scale, diagnostic and the process and who you are and what you believe in and why you are the person you are. It's just been a brilliant opportunity to really bring out you, brand you, for want of a better word. I'm all about building brand you. So, you know, it's been an absolute joy. Thank you so much for trusting me with the hosting seat. I hope everyone has enjoyed this take on Scale Your Sales, and I'm going to leave the last word to Janice.
Oh, what do you know? What it's interesting. I love interviewing. I absolutely love interviewing people because you think, oh, I want to ask them that. Oh, that's really interesting. And it's not as comfortable being on the other side of it. But I have enjoyed it because it's only sometimes when you say things aloud that you really hear yourself. And so, you know, thank you so much for taking over Scale Your Sales podcast and you know, bringing out me, brand you, in this podcast. And I think you're absolutely right. I'm so used to being curious about other people. It doesn't often give other people an opportunity to be curious about me. And certainly you've asked me questions that I would never have said. Not because I've got anything to hide, because it's just the podcast isn't about me. But yeah, thank you so much, Kim. I've really enjoyed and your questioning and you bringing me out of myself. From a shy person, bringing me out of myself.
Shy, what rubbish. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Scale Your Sales podcast. If you like this discussion, feel free to listen to other episodes or watch the captioned show on YouTube and subscribe to future episodes. I would really appreciate it if you would leave a positive review on iTunes. Thank you.